Welcome back to the Ross Bolin podcast presented by Bolin Media. I am Ross Bolin here today with producer Kade Orris. Kade, what is good?
Oh, everything is good right now, Ross, I would say. I got my last regular season intramural game tonight, so really looking forward to that. We're in the hunt for the playoffs, so we got to win this one if we want to get in there.
Wow.
So, yeah, big stakes tonight.
Could make the playoffs. That's huge.
Yeah.
That is huge. Speaking of sports, I just did a radio show on the local ESPN radio in Houston. It's ESPN 97.5 with Paul Gallant, who's a guy I've kind of formed an internet friendship with, mostly through Twitter, over the last few years. But like I've known Paul since back before he had this ESPN radio gig, and I believe he came on RBP at one point as a guest, but I'm not entirely. It was like during the period where I was really stoned and disassociated for months at a time. But I'm pretty sure he was on this show. Anyway, great guy. But I did like 20 minutes, and it's live radio, right? So they call you, and every radio show I've ever done, this is probably like my 10th, but it had been like since pre-pandemic, like so a few years since I've done radio. And every radio show I've ever done, the way it works is they schedule you, and then like a minute, 2 minutes before you're actually set to go live on the air, they call you, and it's a producer like, hey, you're all set, you're about to be on, there's like 1 more minute left of ad reads, and then you're going to be live. And you're like, all right, thanks, tight. And then you just sit there awkwardly, and you can hear the radio show, so you can hear like the ad read taking place, and then all of a sudden like the host is back on, and they introduce you, and then you're just having a phone conversation essentially with the person, except that there's a whole bunch of other people who can hear it, and it's not edited, obviously. It's just live on the air, and you can't curse, which has been a problem for me.
You can, but it's
frowned upon.
Yeah,
and then fineable. I think there's like the FCC can like dole out fines if you drop like a, up there saying like fuck, shit, piss, balls, cock, or whatever. Like they get upset, which is just funny story. One of the first radio shows I ever did back after the Total Frat Move book first came out was when I was like getting all these like invites from people like, oh, come to our show and talk about what you've written or whatever. And I was just like, oh God. One of the first I ever went on was some ESPN show. I can't remember what city, and I accidentally cursed twice during the course of like the 30-minute interview, just because it's naturally how I talk, and I wasn't really schooled on how to do that yet. Like now that I have kids, it's a lot easier because I basically just go into like kid talk mode. The way, when I'm around my stepdaughter who's 4 years old, or with the baby, I curse still if it's just him. Like when she's with her dad, I still curse in front of RJ because he doesn't know. He doesn't fucking know what's happening. But so I basically just pretend my stepdaughter's in the room, and then I don't curse. And it worked. I got through 20 minutes without cursing a single time. But all of this is to say, podcasting and this version of audio content that we have now was obviously born because of radio. Radio's existed long before, right? It's the precedent to everything that I'm doing. And I have so much respect for radio guys, because their job, by comparison, is so fucking miserable. Like, just not being able to curse by itself is a hard sell for me. Like, I need to be able to express myself in an adult manner, right? And I know on, like, what's the, like, subscription radio shit for,
Oh, like Sirius?
Sirius XM and shit. I'm pretty sure they can cuss.
Yeah.
But, like, the public radio dudes, they cannot curse. And it is hard for me, and it has been hard for me my whole career. Like, age has not changed this for me. I just am a colorful talker, and I like to cuss, and I like what cursing brings to the table in a conversation. That in and of itself makes it, I could never, ever do radio as a job. Like, it would be way too difficult. I would be fined constantly and then eventually fired. But also, like, we don't edit this shit. Just for the record, it's very, very rare that anything that is recorded for this show that you don't hear it. Very rare. I'm going to give you an example of one thing that was recorded for this show that did not make it to the air a little bit later in today's episode. But pretty much 99.9% of the things I've ever said into the microphone with the intention of it being on the Ross Bolin podcast has made it to the Ross Bolin podcast. Like, we're not like listening to the show after, editing out, oh, this didn't sound good or that wasn't that funny. Like, you get what we make every single time. And that's the way it's been with all of my shows the whole time I've been doing this, because I like it that way. I think it gives a more natural flow, and I'm not trying to be fucking NPR up here, right? It's not the most heavily produced and edited shit in the entire world. The only piece of our content that a lot of editing goes into it is what Kade does with our YouTube, because he's adding a lot of like graphics and photos for context and stuff, and that takes time. But as far as the audio shit goes, we don't fucking edit anything. And that, like, with radio, it's live. Like, it's not even an option.
If you don't have that choice to cut stuff out.
If you did slip up and like go Kanye with it and say you love Hitler, like you would, that's it. It's out there, baby. They just heard it in their car radios. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's no edit button, and that shit is crazy to me. So yeah, and they also do we do the days that I have multiple podcasts that I record, like RBP and then OCC, and that's 2 straight hours. And a lot of the times that's on Thursday, and then I also have therapy, so it's 3 straight hours of talking for me. When I get done with those days, I'm just like, I could never do radio. Because these dudes will do like 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. and like that's a stretch. Like, they talk the whole time. Now, granted, there are a lot more ad breaks in radio. But still, it is, and they're taking calls and shit pretty consistent. Like, that's why hotline calls are such a big part of radio, though. You have to come up with so much content every day and talk for hours. And that's the thing that people don't take into consideration is like, the days where I felt really, really shitty back in like 2020 and I had to come in here and do this show, it was fucking hard. Like, I was smoking a 1/4 ounce of pot before I came into the studio just to be able to be
just to do 1 hour.
Yeah, just to do an hour. Like, if you're going through like a fucking divorce or something and you got to get up and go do like 4 hours on the radio is just not something that I'm even remotely interested in. Those dudes are grinders, and I just have a lot of respect for the radio game and how challenging it is by comparison what you and I do here. No offense to us, we're awesome. I just am saying, like, it's a different game, a totally different game in ways that you would not even like fathom.
What did you guys talk about?
Houston sports. So we got into, he was trying to get me to convince him that he should be stoked about the potential of James Harden returning to the Rockets, which I couldn't do. And he made me pick a character out of Game of Thrones and Succession and The Sopranos to represent each Houston sports team, which was just, I'll give you one of them. I gave the Texans were Theon/Reek from Game of Thrones. But then we talked about like the Astros and their ridiculous inability to do anything in a game after they score 10 runs. Like, if they score double digits, they're garbage the next game every single time, which is frustrating but also really funny. So yeah, no, it was a good time though.
Didn't bring up the Guardians Astros series.
No, we didn't talk about that.
Okay.
Not the specifics around it. I'm happy for you though.
Honestly, I'll take it because if we see you guys in the playoffs, we probably won't win. So I'll take my victory now.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna rub it in your face.
We're in a bad spot. Our roster is a fucking mess.
We're not in a better spot either. So
we have so many injuries, man. Like, it's a weird line. One of those games we played, y'all, I looked at the batting lineup and I was just like, whoa.
Who are these? And y'all didn't have Jordan either, I think.
Yeah, Jordan is out. Altuve is back, but he's like dealt with weird shit all season. A lot of our pitchers are hurt. Anyway, had fun on the sports radio this morning. I appreciate Paul for inviting me on. Something else going on. Over the last several days, the 4-year-old, my stepdaughter, she keeps asking me to watch the movie Up. Have you seen Up?
I've seen the beginning of it. But I haven't watched like the full thing.
What, did you watch the beginning and then you just like said never mind? And
no,
shut
actually,
it down?
no, it was in college, and I know it's been out way longer than that. I just never got to it. But my friends were watching it, and I had to go to class, so I could only watch like the first 15 minutes, and then
oh my
I had to
god,
bail.
dude!
Yeah, not the most enjoyable.
I mean, it's legitimately the most depressing opening 10 minutes of any movie I've ever seen, ever, and I'm putting that against Schindler's List. Every movie I've ever seen, Up is the most emotionally manipulative opening to any movie I've ever seen, to the point where, like, she keeps asking me, like, Roro, can I watch Up? And I'm like, I don't even know how did you even find out Up exists? Like, she must have watched it at her dad's house or something, because that is not something I would have put on just straight up because of the first 10 minutes alone. The rest of the movie is a lot of fun, and it's a really heartwarming message, and I understand that at 4 years old, you don't even have the emotional capacity to understand what the fuck you're watching with those first 10 minutes. I guess I can do spoilers. It came out in 2009.
Yeah,
the first 10 minutes where it's like this dude and his wife living their whole life. You get like a montage of like all the happiest moments of their life.
From like when they're kids.
Yeah, from when they met.
Yeah.
And then she dies, and then it's her funeral, and then that's the beginning of the movie. And the music they play with it and like the way it cues you up for like the heartbreak. And then basically the rest of the movie is this dude trying to find himself. Like, what's he going to do with the rest of his life? Where's his purpose now? Right? Because this was his person, his best friend.
His idea was to blow up a bunch of balloons and, have his house go up in the air.
On an adventure, yeah.
Yeah.
And then make friends with a Boy Scout.
And a talking dog.
And a talking dog and a weird bird. Like a peacock, a giant overgrown peacock. Anyway, she's been putting it on her iPad. Like, I don't even know. She knows how to do shit with her iPad that I'm like, I thought I had 10 more years before this was a problem. Like, she switched the Disney account from her name, which has all these restrictions on it, to my name, and then got Up to play. Because, like, she can't even get to Up through her account because it's aged, it's like 7+ or something like that. Like, it's not appropriate for a 4-year-old in this, in the restrictions or whatever. But she found it. She turns it on. Multiple times over the last several days, I've walked past her just while she was watching the opening. Didn't even make fucking eye contact with the iPad. I could just hear the music. And I've seen the movie a couple of times, and like I said, it scarred me permanently. So like, just the music got the waterworks going, where I like teared up and was just like, God damn it. And I've like fucking leave the room because it's upsetting to me. And there's not that many movies or TV shows. It's like, okay, there's probably more TV shows. Like This Is Us. Have you ever watched an episode of This Is Us?
No.
Every single episode is set up to break your fucking heart, rip it out, piss on it, and make you cry like a baby. But there's not that many movies that fit into this this basket that I put Up in, where it's like almost unwatchable for me. Because even if I enjoy the next hour after that 10 minutes, I still carry that sadness with me for the rest of the week, not even a day. Just like a full fucking week of my life is a little bit more depressing because I've watched that movie. So today I wanted to talk about some of the other most emotionally manipulative movies ever made that I have seen, which I've seen, frankly, a lot of movies. And I'll start you with one that I've never watched. How about that? The rest of them I've seen. The first one I haven't. Marley and Me.
You've never seen that one?
Hell no. I know better. I know better. Any movie that is built around a dog, I'm out. I'm fucking out. I'm not doing it. I can't handle it. I know the story. I know what happens. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch the fucking family love the dog and the dog be a part of the family and be their best friend and then the fucking dog dies. I don't need that shit in my life. No thank you. Marley and Me, out. Absolutely no way. I'm assuming you have watched it based on your...
Yeah, I saw it when I was young, and like it was sad, but like I don't really remember much of the story. So
that's because you repressed it.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
It.
Yeah,
it'll come out in therapy at some point.
Yeah.
Another one that involves dogs, and this one I have seen, and I used to watch it a lot as a kid, and I'm not sure why, and it's probably why I have depression as an adult. Fox and the Hound. You ever seen The Fox and the Hound?
Again, when I was probably really young, but don't remember much of it.
That one is on my do not watch list, right there with Up, dude. It is. I mean, maybe even higher, because it was like I watched it so many times as a kid that it's even more brutal for me. I can't fucking do it. The Fox and the Hound become best friends. They're besties, and then the world tears them apart and destroys their relationship, and it's too much. It's too hard for me to watch. But that one's definitely up there. The 2005 film Crash. You ever seen that?
No, but I'm looking at the cast right now, and it is insane.
It is the most ridiculous cast. Brendan Fraser, Sandra Bullock, Tandy Tandaway. I can never pronounce her name. Newton.
She's from
Westworld. Yeah. Matt Dillon, Jennifer Esposito, Michael Pena, Don Cheadle. Crazy star-studded cast. Luda's character is like, it's probably the thing that got him into the Fast and the Furious franchise. Once they were like, all right, Ja Rule is trash, he can't act. So Ja Rule got one movie, the first one, and then they were like, he's fucking out. We need another black rapper to come in here and fill that void so we get that demographic. And they went with Ludacris as a result of his performance in Crash, I think. But Crash is...
Isn't it like multiple... like stories, like kind of like
a whole bunch of stories interwoven.
Yeah.
It's like 4 of them or 5 of them or some shit, and then they all come together. They crash, if you will, you know. But in the most like horrifyingly emotional way possible. I kind of want to throw a spoiler out. There's like a scene I can't even fully remember it because I've suppressed it. But there's a scene where Michael Pena is his name is Daniel. His character's name is Daniel. And he's a father of a little, like, 4-year-old girl. And there's a point where this dude comes to, I think, murder Daniel. And the little girl gets in the way. And the little girl has been doing this bit about how she puts on, like, her protective armor. And it's invisible. And it keeps her safe. And the little girl gets in the way. And this dude pulls the trigger. And it would have hit her clear in the fucking back and killed her. And then Daniel's like crying, holding her like she's going to die. But then he realizes she hasn't been hit. And it's because the guy accidentally picked up blanks and put them in his gun.
Oh, I thought you were going to say she actually had invisible armor on.
No, but it plays that way, obviously. Like he thinks she did. It's just so heart-wrenching and unnecessary. Solid movie in its day. I think it's probably aged really, really, really terribly. Just because it is non-stop emotional manipulation the whole time. One of the other movies that gets me every single time, The Green Mile. Never been able to watch The Green Mile and not cry. Gets me every fucking time when that big dude dies. Sucks. You ever seen that one, Tom Hanks?
I know
what pee.
It is, yeah. But
Tom Hanks can't piss without it hurting. That's a part of it.
That's a part of the movie.
That's not a part of the emotional manipulation, but it is a plot line in the film.
Yeah.
Green Mile gets me. The Pursuit of Happiness, that Will Smith movie.
That one always gets me.
Bro, I saw that in theaters and was like, very uncomfortable. It's like, I don't even feel all right being this emotional around this many people. That one is tough. It's a really tough one. Like the scene where they're in the subway and they have to sleep in the subway bathroom and he has to fucking hold the door closed with his feet while his kid sleeps to keep him safe. And that shit.
And then at the end when he finally gets that job and like all that weighs lift off. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh my God. That's a brutal movie, dude. It's brutal. Fuck Will Smith, but that movie is really good and really, really emotionally manipulative. A Star is Born is probably up there for me, honestly. Like where it's just this roller coaster ride of like happiness and then all of a sudden you're completely broken by it. That one I am hesitant to dish out spoilers on because I highly recommend you watch A Star is Born, the most recent one.
Oh, not the one.
It was a remake. It was one from like the 70s or some shit.
Pretty sure you have spoiled that before.
I probably have, but like there could be new people here who don't know, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I love that movie though. I'm off the deep end. All right, we don't have to do that, but and then Life is Beautiful. Have you ever seen Life is Beautiful?
No.
Okay, it's about the Holocaust, and pretty much any movie about the Holocaust falls into this bucket of like being emotionally manipulative. The difference is that the Holocaust actually occurred, so there's a level of historical accuracy there that you kind of have to respect. I'm not sure if it qualifies.
Okay, I've seen like clips of this one.
It is fucking wild. Like, I mean, the basic story is it's a dad. Their whole family gets taken to one of the concentration camps.
And
it's
he has a kid that like kind of like is hiding or something.
Well, his kid doesn't really understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And the dad tries to protect him from what's really going on but essentially lying to him, right? But I mean, he's, like 4 or 5. You don't want to tell him, hey, yeah, we're being taken to a camp to be slaughtered in mass. So he tells him it's this game they're playing, and like the Nazis, the guys wearing those uniforms are like part of the game, and you have to avoid them. So yeah, he gets him to like hide and shit.
Yeah.
And I won't spoil this one, but like it is a must watch. Like if you haven't seen Life is Beautiful, I highly recommend you watch it. Just like watch it on a day where you don't have to do anything the rest of the day because you're gonna be a fucking puddle.
Yeah.
but it's one that like every once in a while when I'm going through streaming to find something to watch on, one of the apps, I'll scroll past it and just like even seeing it, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should just go outside instead of watching anything on the television. But yeah, that's a collection of the saddest, most emotionally manipulative movies I've ever watched, and then one that I haven't seen because I know better.
Yeah.
Marley and Me.
I got a couple that kind of fits in this boat. Dead Poet Society.
I think that counts.
That ending is very, very rough.
It'll get you, dude.
Yeah.
It'll get you. Great movie. Great movie.
Yeah.
It's made like 10 times worse now that Robin Williams is gone. Where like even before the rough ending, just the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, he was so talented. Gone too soon.
Another one for me is Perks of Being a Wallflower. That one really hit for me because I kind of like relate to the main character a lot.
Yeah.
Just like the stuff he went through. So like really good movie, but I don't think I can watch it again.
Seen it once, never going back.
Yeah. And then this one's actually like really funny when you think about it, but Cheaper by the Dozen.
What?
Yeah.
I don't even think the Ashton Kutcher movie?
I mean, Steve Martin, but sure, yeah, he's in it.
Okay, yeah.
And no, it's the ending that gets me because, like they have a really big family, but one of the kids, like all the other kids call him FedEx because he's like a redhead and like they say he doesn't like belong in the family.
They think he got shipped in?
Yeah. And so
That's
he like
fucked.
runs away and like that made me cry because like people in his own family like didn't like love him and care about him. Like,
Damn.
They made him like literally run away because of it. And I was like, that was really, really sad moment.
I got one more.
Okay, let's hear
$1 Million Baby.
it. $1 Million Baby.
Great movie. Fucking heartbreaking. It's like Hilary Swank and
Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman, yeah. She's like a boxer and he's her coach.
Oh, okay.
Shit is wild. It's a great movie. I'm pretty sure it got nominated for like Best Picture and shit. It may have even won, but that one will tear your heart out, man.
I'm surprised you didn't have a Requiem for a Dream.
That doesn't even count. Fuck that movie.
Or what about, was it Eternal
Sunshine of the Spotless Mind?
Yeah.
I mean, that one probably qualifies, but it's more than being emotionally manipulative. It's just super real and sad.
Yeah.
Like, because I think everybody who's ever been through heartbreak can identify with the whole point of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. What was the other one you just said? Right before Eternal Sunshine?
Requiem for a Dream.
Requiem is just a fucked up movie. That's just fucked up. It's not emotionally manipulative. It's just fucked up. That one, I've said on the show before, but like at one point my dad found it on VHS at a half-price books, and he was like, "Hey, I found this movie today. Got it for $2.99." And I was like, "Fuck that, burn it.
Burn it, yeah.
You do not watch this movie. It's too brutal." But yeah. Anyway, moving on. Let me ask you a question, Kade.
Okay.
One of your boys, let's say, one of your best friends, all right, one of your besties, dates a girl for several years, okay, long-term relationship, and she cheats, let's just say, and breaks the dude's heart and bails, and she's completely removed from your life, all right? It's somebody you spent a lot of time with, though, vis-a-vis them being in a relationship with one of your best friends, okay? But after the breakup, she's gone, no longer in your friend group at all. Let's say she moves to California or some shit. Do you continue to follow her on Instagram? Like years later. I'm not saying it has to be an immediate thing that you think like, oh, I'm going to unfollow Sarah.
Yeah.
Because she broke up with Ben. But let's say a couple years have passed and you see one of her posts come by. Like, are you still going to follow her just to keep track of what happens with her life because you're interested? Or are you hitting the unfollow button?
Yeah, I probably hit the unfollow button. Just because I would never see her again. I don't really care what she has going on, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
I mean, if she wants to follow me still, that's fine. But, like, yeah, I'm not.
And she hurt your boy.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So it's kind of like at that point, you've got no reason left to follow.
Right.
Right? I would assume. Like when my people that I'm close with start dating somebody seriously, I follow them on Instagram, right? But if it doesn't work out, I unfollow them because what the fuck am I still doing following this person I have no other connection to except for this person that I was friends with that they're no longer in a relationship with, right? So, and certainly if they get married, I follow all my friends' wives, right? because it's mainly because, frankly, that's how I keep up with my friends' families. Like, my boys don't post a bunch of pictures of their kids and what's going on every day, where their wives do, and so it gives me some insight into what's going on with them. It's a nice way to keep up with the people I'm closest with, see what they've got going on, how their kids are doing, what they're doing with sports, et cetera, et cetera. But if shit goes sideways, like, I guess it's a little bit different if you've got kids with my friend. Because then I might still follow you because it's like, well, I'm going to see the kids and they're my buddy's kids too. But if y'all don't have kids, you get a divorce, I'm fucking out. If you're not in my life, if we don't speak, if I don't know you anymore, I'm fucking out. I'm out. To quote Jack Nicholson in The Departed, this ain't reality TV. I'm not trying to see like what happens with you down the line like 10 years from now and shit. Which I just bring up because I'm petty. And I recently realized that, first of all, a couple people from my old life still follow me, which I found to be strange and a little uncomfortable. Like, I was like, why do you need to know what's happening with me? Like, you don't have anything to do with me anymore. We have not spoken in years. We have no connection. It makes me feel like you're using me like I'm a reality TV thing. Like, it's for the drama of it. Like, ooh, let's see what happens with Ross. Fuck that. In fact, I figured out that on Instagram you can click a button that says if somebody follows you, you can hit remove and they won't be following you anymore. So it's actually your choice too, which it didn't used to be back in the day.
Well, I mean, I'll take the followers. I probably won't do that.
Well, sure, but I'm just saying, you don't even have to block them. You can literally make them unfollow you, which I just think is a funny feature. But then also, like, I'm pretty sure every single person I'm friends with still follows my ex, which is just weird at this point. Like I said, it's not like I expected, like, oh, we get divorced, everybody has to unfollow. Like, that's not how I felt about it at all. But like a few years removed,
why you still following?
It's a little bit weird. It's the same concept, like the reality TV thing, where I'm like, hey, you need to get your shit together and press the right button. And again, I admit to being petty about this. Social media to me is a de facto, like, it's an automatically petty place. And I do it for a living, so I'm probably more petty about it than most. Because like every once in a while, when I recognize like that somebody unfollowed me, that I know, that shit, bro.
Oh, that's a immediate unfollow.
Exact, for sure, absolutely. Every time I find somebody that I used to be close with, or used to be friends with, or used to be colleagues with, and they've unfollowed me, and I realize it, they're out. Yeah. I'm unfollowing. You can't support me. I'm not going to support you.
Exactly.
That's basically the message that's how it feels to me anyway. But I also would like my social media experience to accurately reflect my actual fucking life to at least some degree, right? So I try to only follow people that I actually know and am invested in what they've got going on. Like, I'm not 25 anymore. I can't. I used to. My Instagram just used to be like swimsuit models. It was like 80% of who I followed, and then at some point I was like, this is probably not where I need to be anymore. Yeah. So it's not. And every once in a while I'll go past a post of somebody that I knew from college that I haven't spoken to in 15 fucking years, and I'm like, all right, it's time to let you go. I gotta thin the herd, and. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, for me, there's a cutoff at some point. Like for you, okay, at 25, if somebody you went to high school with, you haven't spoken to since.
Yeah, so it's not so much if I haven't spoken to them in a while. It's more so like, if I ran into this person, would I be happy to see them? And if the answer is yes, then I follow them. And if it's not, then I unfollow them.
That's a good standard. I like that.
So I've been doing this actually, like, every so often. I'll just like go through the people I follow and like, oh, I don't fuck with you anymore, or you. There's like a bunch of my old like frat brothers that like I haven't talked to in years and like wasn't really ever close with them, so I just unfollowed a bunch of them.
Oh yeah, I had to go on a massive spree with that at some point.
And then like, if you're a girl that I followed and you got married, I'll probably unfollow you.
Well, yeah, because it feels a little weird. If you were following,
if I was like friends with like the guy too, then like I still follow them both.
Sure.
But like, yeah, no, because I mean, you're taking that at that point. So like, what
am I doing here?
Yeah, I'm gonna see you happily married, having kids and stuff. I don't want to see that. Are you kidding me?
Well, and at that point, when you're following somebody out of sexual attraction, and then that you're not going to be getting any of the content that you once wanted and got, Like married chicks don't tend to put up like a whole bunch of like spring break albums. You know what I'm saying? Like, by the way, that was the peak of social media. Back when I was in college and Facebook was still slutty as hell. I mean, those were the days, man, because every March, every single hot person you knew was putting up a spring break album, scantily clad in every single photo. Those were the days. This ship has sailed. Now the only people I see on social media at 36 now, which just sounds weird, but it's the truth. The only people I see on social media putting up anything even remotely scandalous are influencers. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know anybody that's my age in their day-to-day life that has a regular fucking job who's putting up, like, thirst traps.
Not starting any OnlyFans?
No. It's not a thing, man. That part of social media goes bye-bye after college for the most part. But yeah, back in the day, like, Facebook was just... It was pornographic.
Yeah.
It really was. It really, really was. But now it's gone. Now it's dead.
Another thing that like I've also been doing kind of in the same vein is deleting people's numbers too. Like same thing. Like I haven't talked to them in so long. I don't really care to talk to them. I'll just delete their number. And hopefully they never like have to reach out to me again. So I'd be like, hey, who is this?
Yeah, this I need to do it. The problem is I have so many numbers in my phone that it would take a while. And I'm just like, this is far down my list of priorities, but I need to do that at some point.
Yeah.
But
just to declutter it.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't have to go through my contacts every day. I do have to go through my Instagram every day for literal fucking work.
Yeah.
So I think it is time for me to do another herd thinning. I'm going to unfollow people this week. It's time. There's too many people that I follow not liking my shit. You know what I'm saying?
That's another thing. Yeah, why people not liking my shit? I like everyone's shit that I follow.
Double tap, you fucking clown.
It's so easy.
What's wrong with you? This is what I do. This is my job. It's not the same as me accidentally not liking that picture of your child. That doesn't do shit for your living. This is how I make money.
Just show some love.
Click the fucking double tap.
You don't even have to watch the video
no, you don't have to watch. You don't have to watch the clip. You don't have to give a shit.
You don't have to read the caption. Just fucking
Just hit the heart. Just hit the fucking heart button. What's wrong with you? It'd be like if I walked past your place of business and there was something I could actually meaningfully do to help you with your career, and instead I just shot you the bird. That's every time you don't like one of my posts. That's what it feels like to me. So I'm unfollowing
I need
people.
that validation.
I do. It's part of what I do. So if I haven't seen your name pop up on my likes in a while, you're fucking out. I'm sorry. And you might be thinking, well, isn't that counterproductive? What if they do come back and start liking your shit one day? No, fuck that. They had their chance. Now they're gone. I've been muting motherfuckers like crazy. I use the mute button like crazy.
Love the mute button on Twitter.
Oh my God. And Instagram. I mute people's stories. You know how
I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh, bro. If you know somebody who puts up too many stories and you find yourself watching them too much and being like, I don't give a shit about a single one of these slides, you can hold down the button and hit mute, and it'll never show their story to you again. It's glorious.
No, see, I just don't even open. I just watch my very close friends' stories. That's about it. Other than that, I don't even pay attention to them.
I watch a lot. I don't know how they even get served to me at this point, but because there's like a crazy order to it.
Well, I think it's like who you interact with the most,
right?
Yeah, so that's why I always see the people that I want to see at the very beginning, and everyone else is in the back.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's herd thinning time. If you're trying to get in good shape and show off that hot bod this summer, today's sponsor is for you. It's FitBod. Personally, with a baby and a 4-year-old at the house, I have very little time to focus on my workout routine and need something to help me out and plan workouts for me. That's exactly what FitBod has been doing for me for a couple of months now. The FitBod app creates a workout program that's personalized to your goals, fitness level, and available equipment. It learns from your previous workouts and adapts as you improve. So you let it know exactly how much weight you did, how many reps you did, and it lets you rate after each exercise. How difficult was this for you? Was this an ideal amount? Was it too hard? Was it too easy? And every time you do a workout, it changes it up for you. So you start making progress towards your fitness goals today with 25% off a FitBod subscription using our special URL. Just pick a fitness goal, select your equipment, and FitBod will create a custom workout program for you, whether you've been missing gym time or you've hit a plateau. That was one of the reasons I needed to switch up. I'd been doing the same workouts over and over and over. It wasn't doing anything for me anymore. Fitbod will build a workout plan individualized to you. The app switches up your exercises to avoid overtraining or burnout while keeping your workouts fresh and fun. Your program also changes based on your personal progress for maximized results, whether you work out in the weight room or at the gym or in your living room or in the garage like me. Fitbod has you covered. Learn new movements the right way. If you get to an exercise and you're like, I don't know how to do this, guess what? For every single one, there's a video it shows you exactly how to do it. And not just one video, they got 3 different angles. Just in case one angle you're like, I can't quite tell. How far is his arm bent this way or whatever? Like, they got all the angles, everything you could possibly need, and a full year of Fitbod is less than the cost of a single session with a personal trainer. I've been using the Fitbod app for every single one of my workouts for the past couple months. It is legitimately fucking awesome. Before I started using Fitbod, I did the exact same workouts every single time I worked out for really over 2 years, and that shit was not doing anything for my body anymore. Fitbod is the future. It makes me work out muscles I hadn't used in 20 years. It has everything you wish those other apps had, whether you were in your fitness journey, wherever you are in your fitness journey. Get the most out of every workout with Fitbod. Get 20% off your subscription at fitbod.me/Ross. That's fitbod.me/Ross. Just click the link in the description of this episode to get set up today.
Grab your light. This is Stuff the Wikipedia when you're high.
Stuff the Wikipedia when you're high.
All right, I got a fast one for you today. Relatively short stuff to Wikipedia when you're high, but it's an interesting one nonetheless. Octopolis and Octlantis. Octlantis. I missed the T. Octopolis and Octlantis are 2 non-human settlements occupied by gloomy octopuses in Jervis Bay on the south coast of New South Wales. The first site, named Octopolis by biologists, was found in 2009. It consists of a bed of shells, mainly scallop shells, in an ellipse shape, 2 to 3 meters in diameter on its longer axis, with a single piece of human detritus believed to be scrap metal within the site. So it's got a bunch of different areas to get shade, essentially. And octopuses build dens by burrowing into the shell bed. And the shells appear to provide a much better building material for the octopuses than the fine sediment around the site, it says. And up to 14 octopuses have been seen at Octopolis at a single time. So people like to call these like little octopus cities, basically, little octopus settlements, which is unusual. Typically, you run into an octopus in the ocean, you've got one octopus, like kind of fucking awkwardly pulsing by you, right? But this is a whole bunch of them living together. Then in 2016, a second settlement was found nearby named Octlantis, which includes no human-made objects and can house similar numbers of octopuses. I thought it was octopi.
It's octopuses?
But it's octopuses. Octopussy. But both sites are within the Booderee National Park. And it says some media accounts have described these sites as octopus cities, but researchers who have worked on the sites view this as a misleading analogy, which is just, guys are being too sensitive. But the pictures are tight. That's the main reason I'm sharing today's stuff to Wikipedia when you're high. If you go to Google and type in Octopolis and Octlantis and check out the photos, it's pretty cool. And that's kind of the whole point of the segment.
That's neat stuff.
It's real
aren't
neat.
octopuses like really smart?
Yeah.
One of the more intelligent species?
Yeah, they're supposed to be.
Are they like building a society to one day take over the service world?
Why not?
They might.
I mean, we're not doing great.
I don't know how we defeat them either. I don't think we're really focused on the octopuses.
That's the
right
thing
now.
about the octopi.
Yeah.
Nobody considers them a threat, but they're down there and they're plotting.
Yeah, they're just building things, just waiting their time until they can come up here and take over
and strangle us all to death.
Yeah, with their tentacles. And,
yeah. Suck our faces right off. So that's today's stuff to Wikipedia when you're high. Octopolis and Octlantis. So there's this person on Twitter, at Strombo94, who replies to almost every single one of my tweets over the past several weeks, encouraging me, nay, demanding I cover this new Jeremy Renner show called Rennervations on Disney Plus, okay? And I finally broke and looked into this because I was like, what is this dude's deal? Why every tweet I send out, he replies, not sure what that has to do with Rennervations on Disney Plus, but you should really watch it and cover it. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? It's a great bit. And he, frankly, is putting in a ton of work because I tweet a lot and he's having to get on and respond a lot. He's got like notifications set up now to where like it'll only be a couple of minutes after my tweet and he's already replied with a Rennervations promo. But I looked it up, and here's the synopsis for this TV show. Jeremy Renner teams up with expert builders to acquire large, decommissioned government vehicles and reimagine them as, and this is in quotes, mind-blowing creations, end quote, that serve kids in communities worldwide.
So is it like a Pimp My Ride for kids?
It's like a Pimp My Ride for decommissioned government vehicles that are then used for kids, yeah. But that's the most specific concept for a show I've ever heard, ever. He teams up with expert builders to acquire large, decommissioned government vehicles. Not small.
No, only large
decommissioned
ones.
government vehicles,
Yeah,
only big ones.
Not small commissioned government vehicles.
No.
Only the large decommissioned ones.
And if you're wondering, like, oh, hold on, isn't Jeremy Renner, like, critically injured? I mean, he has since recovered, first of all. He's still in rehab, I believe, like physical therapy. But this was filmed prior to his accident. And it looks like there are only 4 episodes, okay?
Oh,
like,
you could binge that real quick.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in the first one, it says Jeremy Renner and his best friend, Rory, and his elite team of fabricators transform a former tour bus into a mobile music studio for the Base Chicago, which is an organization that offers various after-school programs for the youths, right? The second one is... Jeremy Renner rebuilds a city bus into a mobile dance studio for a children's charity in Mexico. Okay, these are too similar, and I'm not sure how those are government vehicles.
Yeah, those are just buses.
Okay, what the fuck? The third one, Jeremy Renner rebuilds a shuttle bus into a mobile recreation center for... This is just... They're just taking buses and turning them into other things. The fourth one is a delivery truck turned into a mobile water treatment center for charity in India. Now, first of all, as I make fun of it, obviously... great philanthropic work for Renner.
Yeah, helping out the kids.
Which, by all accounts, he's a really good guy. He's just really easy to make fun of, and he had that whole Renstar situation with the app that was so mockable and absurd and so Hollywood. And he did that rock band that was in random commercials.
Oh, yeah, he dropped a song.
Yeah, so like he's easy to make fun of, seems like a good guy, one of my favorite actors on the whole in terms of like I've really enjoyed a lot of his work. Anyway, so there's this show on Disney Plus called The Rennervations that exists. And earlier, I remarked on how we almost never edit this show. Well, the example of the most recent time that I can honestly remember when we did was when I did a segment talking about Jeremy Renner's accident back when it happened. But Jared suggested we remove it because it ended up being more unintentionally funny than I had planned, and we were laughing more than we should have. and Jared was scared the guy was going to die and that I would look like an asshole. And at the time, I remember being like, man, Jared is such a pussy. but I'm glad we didn't include it in the show in hindsight. I'm glad we removed it because he legitimately did almost die. Like, once it came out how serious it was, I was like, really dodged a bullet there. It's not even that, like, it's not okay to make fun of. I felt bad. Like, he was genuinely going through some really fucked up shit in terms of injuries, and the accident was pretty horrifying, and he probably should have died. And yeah, it was going to be a long road back to, quote unquote normalcy for Jeremy Renner. It wouldn't have been great. I would have looked like a total dick. I was being a total dick, in fairness, which I do sometimes. But there's that weird thing about celebrities, right? Where it's like, you almost don't think of them as a real person. Like, it's almost like the reality TV thing with Instagram. But that's kind of where I was at with Jeremy Renner. And after seeing some footage of like interviews and shit with him in the hospital, it brought me back to, the ground floor. I was like, I am a dick. That was a dickish segment. So that was the last thing we've edited out of the show that I can remember. Because it was a little bit over the line. It was a little inappropriate.
A little bit, yeah.
So this is me cleansing myself of the guilt that I feel by plugging Rennervations on Disney Plus, which is only 4 episodes, and it's heartwarming stuff, and you get to watch Jeremy Renner turn buses and one food truck into things that children can use around the world. You know?
Yeah. You think they're gonna like all the buses he made like gonna shit out like in a few weeks, kind of like how on Pimp My Ride, like none of those cars actually worked.
I read that recently, that Pimp My Ride was a total sham.
Yeah, no,
I
they
didn't
were
know
full
this.
of shit. Oh, I didn't either when I first watched it, but yeah.
It's been like widely reported on now, though, that it was bullshit. And like a lot of the cars broke, or the systems broke, or the fish tank, had a crack in it and all the fish fucking died. They kept putting fish tanks in cars.
Yeah, no, they just put the most random stuff in there.
Well, I was always wondering, like, all right, I don't know how many cars are driving on the road that have a fish tank in them, but also have like 20-inch subs in the trunk. How are the fish surviving this scenario?
Well, they're not.
And then it turns out also the subs are eventually causing cracking in the fish tanks, and the
Yeah.
water is getting everywhere and destroying the entire vehicle, and all the fish die.
Yeah,
So-
I'm seeing one right now about like an abandoned Pit My Ride car. It was like a minivan. It's pink and purple, and oh man, like at the time that probably looked so cool, but you look
Yeah.
at it now, it's just like that's just not
Fun
it.
show, though,
Oh yeah, it's cool.
but apparently
to
total
see them
horse
like
shit.
how to build all that, but yeah, no, full of shit.
Hopefully Rennervations is more authentic.
Yeah,
I have to think it would be. It's on Disney Plus, for fuck's sake. This isn't MTV, right?
right.
Yeah. Anyway, we're running out of time, so that'll do it for today's show. But please support our sponsors by hitting the links in the description of this episode and using our dedicated codes, as that is how we pay the bills here at Bolin Media. You can find links to today's sponsor in the description below, fitbod.me/Ross. To check out our other shows, go to bolinmedia.com. We've got Jared's F1 show, Formula Bone, back in full swing, covering the latest F1 madness. We've got Oysters, Clams, and Cockles. We have moved on from Succession. We are now covering Silo on Apple TV+. If you would like to watch that with us, we just put out our first episode covering Silo, episodes 1 and 2. Fun sci-fi show on Apple TV+. So far, I'd give it like a just a B, a flat B. Solid stuff, not the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life or anything like that, but it's really entertaining, good stuff, especially if you enjoy sci-fi. So check out Oysters, Clams, and Cockles coverage of Silo. And go to bolinmedia.com/shop to grab yourself some RBP merch or OCC merch or any of our merch. Like if you were a Succession fan, Kade is wearing the Kendall Logan Roy crossed out or underlined hat today, and I am wearing the Ross Bolin podcast hat. If you would like to purchase the hat that is atop my head, you go to bolinmedia.com/shop. And you can do so there. I am Ross Bolin. You can follow me at WRBolin on Twitter and Instagram, WRBOLEN. Kade, where can people follow you?
You can follow me on all the socials at Kade Orris. That's KADEORRIS.
And this episode of the Ross Bolin podcast is presented by Bolin Media, and today's show, video of today's show was produced by Mr. Kade Orris. Go to youtube.com/@the-Ross-Bolin-Podcast where you can watch our show in full. We appreciate all of you who have subscribed on youtube.com/@the-Ross-Bolin-Podcast. Even if you don't want to watch, it goes a long way to support what we're doing here if you go subscribe on YouTube. It costs you nothing. It's free. You just hit subscribe. We'll be back later this week with another exclusive ad-free episode on patreon.com/RossBolin-Podcast. If you're looking for more RBP, every week we do one episode here. It's free to the public and available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and YouTube and all the audio platforms. And then we do one on patreon.com/RossBolin-Podcast that is ad-free, exclusive to Patreon and the people supporting us there with a minimum pledge of $5 per month. That's it, $5, and you'll have access to like over 100 RBP episodes that have never been public before. They're all on Patreon. They're private, just for Patreon people, exclusive to Patreon. Go now, support the pod, patreon.com/RossBolin-Podcast. Appreciate y'all listening. Thanks for being here. Until next time, peace be with you and also with you.